these compounds change our sexual values around, and a society using psilocybin on a regular basis would dissolve this male dominance hierarchy and replace it, I think, with the glue of an orgiastic and more egalitarian system. And for a long, long time we lived like that. And in that period when we lived like that, language, music, compassion, love, all the higher values emerged. Well, then, at some point, and for complicated reasons not necessary to discuss, unless you want to, the mushrooms disappeared. And the chemical fix that had been in place for thousands and thousands of years that was suppressing this older male dominant style of behavior just drained out of the system. And suddenly, men were very interested in controlling women's behavior, and the orgies were canceled, and the levels of anxiety began to rise, and people began to think in terms of turf and property and my children and my food. And in short, the hideous union of the animal and the spiritual that we meet in ourselves came into being. We are like the inheritors of a dysfunctional childhood or something. Something terrible happened to all of us in our past. For 100,000 years, we were at our most human, without material culture, living in a world of magic and song and sexuality and husbandry, living lightly on the land, herding cattle in the presence of mushrooms. This seems to be, that was the climax of the pre-technical phase. Well, then agriculture changed all that, created surpluses, ended nomadism, provided a raison d'etre for cities. The return of male dominance ended in god kings and standing armies. And then, we've had 5,000 years of this now, 6,000, 7,000, whatever, and we're at the end of our rope. The planet is at crisis. Our politicians are clueless. Divine intervention is our best hope, either from flying saucers or the second coming or something. And in the presence of so much obvious, overwhelming difficulty, people are turning more and more toward irrational faiths and just waiting for the Space Brothers to pull us out of this mess. To quote a Grateful Dead song, you can't go back and you can't stand still. If the thunder don't get you, then the lightning will. This thing was set in motion 100,000 years ago. And now we are caught in the consequences of our forebears' stupid decisions or brilliant decisions, whatever. But we're being forced through. I mean, I agree that there's a lot of Q force building up in the society. In other words, vibration. It's almost like as you try to push an airfoil through the sound barrier, as you approach hypersonic velocity, the thing begins to shake. And if it hasn't been correctly designed, the wings will tear off. But if it has been correctly designed, the Q force will maximize and then very suddenly plummet, and that's called breaking the sound barrier, and you're through. It's very clear that this culture is revving up to attempt the leap into hyperspace. And it's either going to succeed and we will become unrecognizable to ourselves and scatter through the galaxy as motes of light, or we will fail and probably biology will cancel the R&D division on intelligent life and go back to ground squirrels, chipmunks, and monarch butterflies. That's worked so well for so long.